Thanks for tuning in to Bourbon Drop. I'm your host, Myron. Today is Sunday, June 11th. I figured I'd give you guys a week, if you're a last minute shopper like me, to get together some gift ideas for Father's Day. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is this decanter right here. I don't know how the Amazon affiliate program works. I might put a link in the description. I might not. I don't know. I've never done anything like that before, but I am checking into it. So the only thing is, that link is only good for 24 hours. So from the time I drop this video, you only have 24 hours to go into that link and help the channel out. But I thought that this gift was so great that I had to put it on the channel. This is a Gilmo whiskey decanter. Now, my wife, since I'm going to be out of town next weekend with my son on the travel game, my wife surprised me by doing Father's Day a week early. So this was one of the gifts that they gave me. Now, I've got a couple of crystal decanters that are really nice, but this right here to me takes the cake because this is from my wife and my sons, and I think it's just beautiful. Now, she did give me a decanter before for last Christmas. It's one of the kind that you can kind of put your bottle upside down in. That thing leaked a little bit, so we both weren't too happy with it. So she surprised me with another one. So, babe, I really appreciate that. Love you. Thank you to my boys. I love you guys. They almost had a brother tearing up a little bit with some of the cards they gave me. So, anyway, enough about that. So, I want to get onto a list of gifts that you could probably give your dad if he is a bourbon drinker. I'm going to try and go by distillery, and I'm going to try and go by price, availability, presentation, and affordability. So please just do me a quick favor, hit the like, hit the comment button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you get these videos every time. So we are going to start out with two Weeders. Now, this one is really based on price and kind of presentation, because when you get someone a gift, it's not always about price to value. Sometimes you just want to know or let them know that you spent a little extra on a gift for them. So this first bottle, I think it's a little bit, it's kind of slept on, but the presentation is there. So this is Old Elk. This happens to be a store pick, but if you saw my Virginia ABC Beltway Bourbon Hall video, they had all of the different finishes. And that is one thing you want to do too. You want to know if your dad or the dad that you're buying for is into finished products. You kind of want to know who their favorite distillers are, and you kind of want to know, do they drink lower proof stuff? Do they drink higher proof stuff? This happens to be a cashier and store pick, so this is a little on a higher proof side of things, but you can go in and find their everyday sippers if they are into the lower proof stuff. And if they're into the finished stuff, they have so many, it's almost endless. I'm gonna go into this bottle, which is also an Old Elk. This happens to be a store pick from about 3 years ago, and the reason why I'm putting both of these on the table is because both of these run around 75 bucks. So, like I said, sometimes it's not always about value, because these are good products, but you want that person to know that, hey, I spent a little extra. If they're a bourbon drinker, they probably know the cost of these two bottles. I'm not sure how much their regular offerings cost. I think they're around that $45 price range. Now, the finished stuff, of course, is a little bit higher, but the cash strength store picks, they always run around 75 bucks. This one doesn't have the Old Elk cap because the cork kind of shrank on me. Like I said, it's about 3 years old. This was the first bottle that I called myself getting myself an expensive bottle. Let's get these two off the table. Now, I've got plenty of room on this table because I am going to be going through quite a bit of distillers. Now, like I said, this is going to focus on price, availability, affordability, and presentation, and it's going to be several different distillers. So next up on a weeded side, now this is really based on affordability. This is Rebel 100. The proof is there. I don't really get into anything when it comes to Rebel lower than 100 proof, but this thing is full of cinnamon. So if you know that your dad kind of likes weeded bourbons and he may enjoy that cinnamon heavy profile, I think Rebel 100 is a good option, and it's not going to break the bank. The next one, if they're in a higher proof stuff, I think this one is a little bit of proof and presentation, because this one is high proof. It's both of these are very available, and both of these are very affordable. I believe I paid about 50 to maybe 55 bucks for this one, but if your dad or the dad that you're buying for is into bourbon, they will know that you did spend a little extra on them this go round. These are two great weeders that I think they'll be happy with. Next up, we're going to get into just your regular normal bourbons right now. Now, this one is based on price. So we're going to say affordability, and we're going to say availability. This is pretty much everywhere. It is Old Forester 100. This thing is a solid daily sipper. If you know that the dad that you're buying for, or your dad, is into the Brown-Forman Old Forester flavor profile, I think this is one excellent choice. You know, all of us can't always go out and get $40, $50, $60 bottles. So if you don't want to spend a lot, or you don't have the capability of spending a lot, I think this one will serve the purpose. It is an excellent daily sipper. Next up on the list, this one is going to cost you a little bit more. It is a little lower in proof. It is 93 proof. This is Old Forester 1910. It is a toasted bourbon. It happens to be very enjoyable. It took a little while for it to grow on me, but I mean, when it comes to toasted things, sometimes I pick up a bit of an old note that I really don't like. But this thing has really started to grow on me. It's pretty sweet, and as you can see by what's left in the bottle, I'm starting to really like it a lot. The next up on the list, you know, I could not go any further without 1920. Old Forester 1920 for the dads out there that are higher proof drinkers. If you know your dad is into that Brown-Forman profile, that Old Forester profile, you see him with a lot of Old Forester products. I think that they will really enjoy Old Forester 1920. It comes in at 115 proof. Normally runs around 55 to 60 bucks. You know what? I skipped one weeder. So we're going to get into that weeder right now. You guys all know the weeder I'm talking about. It is Maker's Mark. Now, this is not the regular Maker's Mark. If your dad is a lower proof weeded drinker, I would suggest maybe bumping it up a little bit with this one right here, which is the Maker's Mark 46. This one comes in at 94 proof. This one is finished with French oak staves. It is a step up from the regular, and those French oak staves really add extra flavor to it. You're normally going to spend around 35, maybe 40 bucks for this bottle. This happens to be the cask strength. The reason why I have this bottle on the table is because if they are into higher proof weeded bourbons, I think that you cannot go wrong with the cask strength, because I think that the cask strength and some of the limited releases are very close in flavor profile. Also, I don't have one on the table, but if you want to go with presentation, and the cost of this bottle is not a lot, it's normally around $39.99, which is about 40 bucks, maybe sometimes a little higher. Maker's Mark 101, the front of the bottle, all of the writing on the front of the bottle is in gold. It's just, to me, it is a very beautiful bottle. Now, this happens to be the old bottle of Maker's Mark 46. You can get the new bottle, which is in this bottle shape. And if you want to get them something a little higher in proof and don't want to deal with the Maker's Mark cask strength, this is going to be a little more pricey, and it's going to be better as in my opinion. So you can go with the new label Maker's Mark 46 cask strength that looks just like this, except it has a burgundy or red label on the front with 46 written in gold, and there's an extra little strip on the bottom that says cask strength. So we'll get these off the table. We'll go to the next one. All right, now it would not be a list if I didn't pull up Jack. You know, you have a lot of Old No. 7 drinkers out there. There is nothing wrong with the Old No. 7. It's just not one of my favorites, but there are a lot of Old No. 7 drinkers out there. So if you want to step the game up just a little bit for the dad in your life, I suggest picking up a bottle of Jack Daniel's Single Barrel. Now, this single barrel right here, it's bottled at 94 proof, I believe. Yes, 94 proof. I also believe presentation is there. So you're going to spend about 50, I think 50 bucks is what you typically spend on this bottle right here. So that dad will know that you spent a little extra on him this year, as you know, more so than bringing in just a bottle of Old No. 7. Like I said, there is nothing wrong with Old No. 7. Now, you can also bring him, and you know that I was not going to do this list without bringing up the gold label single barrel proof. This is available. It's available, and in my opinion, for a high proof, good product, 60 to 70 bucks is not a bad price for this bottle, man. And like I said, even though it's high proof, the flavors are there. I think if your dad typically drinks Old Number 7 and you've never really seen your dad drink anything high proof, you might not want to put this one on the list. But I will say this, you can also get him a bottle of single barrel proof in a smaller version if you're worried about price. If you're not worried about proof but you're worried about price, go ahead and pick this thing up. It's going to run you about $35. It looks nice. I still think presentation is there. When you look at these bottles compared to this, presentation is there all day long, and it will save you a couple dollars in your pocket. Let's get to the next set of bottles. I'll go over what I'm drinking in this glass when we get to it. Matter of fact, let's take a sip. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. So many choices. Might as well get to what I'm drinking. So, this is also what's in this decanter. I think this is an excellent daily sipper. It is from the House of Heaven Hill. This is JTS Brown Bottled and Bond. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, the Virginia ABC only sells these in 1.75s. If they sold these in 750s, I think this would go for about 17 bucks. But to be a $17 bottle, man, the nuttiness is there. It's got some sweet caramel, vanilla notes. It's got some richness in the oak notes. It's a little thin on the palate. I'm not going to lie about that, but the proof is there, and it is a very easy daily sipper at 100 proof. It's not going to wow you, but it is good, and it is bottled in bond, and it's from one of my favorite distillers, Heaven Hill. So, next up on the list. Now, this one right here is more so based on, I won't say presentation, and I won't say availability because some states have a hard time getting Elijah Craig toasted. Most of the Elijah Craig bottles look simple and plain like this, but your dad will know you spent a little extra if you walk into the house with a bottle of Elijah Craig toasted, because in some states they go for about 55 to 80 bucks. And they are very hard to find. I've seen it as high as 99 bucks. I think it actually retails for about 55. So your dad will know that you spent a little extra. And like I said, knowing the distilleries that they like and knowing the types of bourbon that they like make all of the difference in the world, because there is nothing worse than getting a paperweight. You love your family, you are happy that they gave you that gift, and it is the thought that counts. But having a bottle that you just have to sit on the shelf and can't drink is just not fun. So next up from the Heaven Hill line, we are going to go with presentation. Now, I won't say availability is all over, is always there with this bottle. I will say availability is kind of all over the place. This to me is a great bottle. It comes in at 100 proof. It is bottle and bond. But it's bottled for 7 years. So you know you're getting at least a 7-year product that is in this bottle. This is not a single barrel. This is just bottled and bond. Yeah. So you're not getting a single barrel. You're getting a batched product. So you know that the youngest batch, well, the youngest barrel in this batch is at least 7 years old. You're gonna spend a little bit. It is a little pricey. I think it's around 45 to 50 bucks. Some people might say that that's a lot for a 100 proof bourbon, but I think the age is there. I think the proof is there as far as getting them something that's not going to be boring on the palate, and I also think the flavors are there. And I also think that this is a bottle that you can throw into that presentation category, because look at the front of the bottle, man. I mean, Heaven Hill does a wonderful job on this label. The little gold circle right there with the double H, I think that is nice. The nice wooden cork, I think everything about it, just how they put everything together on this bottle and bond. Heaven Hill, tan label, got the little gold emblem. I like everything about it. Let's get on to the next one. I'm going a little fast because I got a lot of bottles and I don't want you guys to get a little bored. So next up on the list, this is a distillery that sources. They don't produce their own stuff, but I think it is worth having them on here just because of the price. So these are not going to necessarily go into presentation, even though I think one of the bottles the presentation is very good, especially when you look at the thumb on the review that I did. But this is regular Blue Note, which just beat Blanton's in the Blind for my man Gray. Shout out Gray. 93 proof. I think it comes in between 20 and 30 bucks. I can't remember. So the price is there. Proof is slightly there. I am a higher proof bourbon drinker, but I think someone who enjoys a high proof bourbon drinker, because it does have a little bit of a bite to it. It's not a bad bite, but it gives, like Grace said, it gives you a little bit of a roller coaster ride in the mouth, and that 93 proof really helps out. Presentation, I will not put it in that presentation category. It is a fine bottle, but this one is the Blue Note Juke Joint Uncut Unfiltered. Now, they look very close, but the presentation is there, man. I'm sorry. That blue label with the gold notes and the white offset with the gold, and then you've got that gold uncut right here. That thing right there, to me, is a heck of a bottle when it comes to presentation. Now, go back and look at the review that I did and take a look at that thumbnail, and the way that it might not pick up on camera, but the way that those notes really come through on camera, and these blue notes too. I mean, they do come through, but that gold and blue bottle to me just sets it off. And this thing is going to run you about 55 bucks. And if your pops is a higher proof bourbon drinker, they will really love the Blue Note Uncut Unfiltered. This one right here comes in at 123.1 proof. And it's funny because the next bottle that I got of Blue Note Uncut Unfiltered came in at 121.3 proof. So it was just flipped. But these are excellent bottles to get. I think that your pops or the father you're buying for will love these two bottles. Next up on the list, we are going to get into the House of Jim Beam. Now, I have to cut because I did not put one on here, so give me a second. All right, so you got Knob Creek 9-year. This thing comes in at 100 proof. It is a small batch product. You just can't go wrong with Knob, man. Some people don't like that peanut note. I love that peanut note. I think it has a beautiful caramel note in it. It's got a beautiful butterscotch note. This is one of my favorite bottles, as you can see. Believe it or not, that thing's been around for, I think I've had this one for about a year now. Anyway, next bottle up on the list is going to be OGD 114. I am not going to say availability. I'm just going to say affordability, because I found out through some of you guys out there, your comments tell me that this is not always in your market. It is always available in my market. It is always available in some other markets, but just not every market. So I don't want to say availability. I'm going to say affordability, because you can get OGD 114 somewhere between $27.99 and around $33.99, so 34 bucks. So that's why this is going on a list. And I think the dad that you're buying for will really love this bottle. And if it's hard to get, guess what? You got him a bottle that he cannot get, and you save some extra bucks while doing it. Next up on the list, you can't go wrong. This is an older bottle. This is Knob Creek. It is the single barrel version coming in at 120 proof. You just can't beat these bottles, man. Even this is an older bottle, but if you can get your hands on a Knob Creek store pick or just a regular single barrel, they come in at about $55. So this is not going to go into the presentation category. It's not going to go into the affordability category. It is going to go into the availability category. So if you know that the dad you're buying for, or your dad is a big fan of Knob Creek, I don't think you can go wrong with the 120 proof single barrel. Let's get into the next bottle. Now, this next distillery is one of my favorites as well. I think that you probably have a bottle of any bottle from this distillery at home right now on your shelf. The first bottle being Wild Turkey 101. I love Wild Turkey products, man. Most of their products are great products, especially this Wild Turkey 101. It is so versatile. It is a daily sipper. It is a good mixer. I mean, you can do pretty much anything with the Wild Turkey 101. The proof is there. I wouldn't say that the presentation is there. This is an older label. The newer bottles come with a glass turkey on the front. This is the old paper label bottle. Once again, shout out to my paper label boys, man. It's something about that paper label. I get a little more char, a little more richness. So that bottle is hard to beat for the price. And $23.99 to $19.99, man, it's hard to beat. And I have not heard anybody ever tell me they didn't like Wild Turkey 101. Next bottle on the list. I'm not going to say that this is going into the affordability category or the presentation category. I am going to say that this is probably on the list because it meets the proof requirements. It's delicious. So you get a 55 bottle, sometimes 59. Some people said that they've seen it as low as about 47 to 45 bucks. I've never seen it that low, but if so, it would be on the affordability part of this video. This bottle right here, man, comes in at 116.8 proof. So the proof is there. It is just a delicious bottle. It is 101 cranked up. It is just better. It's got more buttery notes. It's a delicious all around good product. Let's get into the next one. This next one, I'm not going to say it's on the list for proof. I'm not going to say it's on the list for availability. I will say it's on the list for presentation. And the reason why it's on the list for presentation is because, like I said, it's not always about getting the best bang for your buck when you're buying for someone else. Sometimes you want to let them know that you spent a little more on them. So this bottle, to me, it's a very beautiful bottle. It is shaped very similar to the Wild Turkey Rare Breed, except it comes in with this gold label. Gold is hard to beat on a bottle. Any bottle that you see gold on, it's pretty much going to be good. So the gold on the front of the bottle, man, the signatures on the front of the bottle, it only comes in at 101 proof, and it is a little bit pricier. So it's pretty much a 101 single barrel. That's pretty much all it is. Now, I did put it in the blind in some of my early videos, and it did not do as good as the 101. So I'm not going to tell you to run out and buy this bottle for that dad. It is nice to let them know that you spent a lot on them, but I think this bottle edges it out. So, you know, this is kind of a tough one, but presentation to me is there. Let's get into the last distillery. Last distillery is going to be Four Roses. Now, this one right here, to me, is on a list for presentation, and it's on a list because of the proof. Now, this is not low on proof. It does come in at 104 proof, so it's not low on proof. So I think that the proof is there, but the price, it is slightly pricey depending on your market. This one right here comes in at $59.99, so pretty much 60 bucks. But like I said, you're not always looking for the best bang for your buck. However, in my opinion, this is one of the best $60 bottles out there that you can buy. If you know someone that really loves that Four Roses profile, I think this would be an excellent gift for Father's Day. Let's go into the next bottle. Now, this is a little harder to find. I don't have one of the regular Four Roses single barrels. This is one of the ones with the leather neck tag. This happens to be a cask strength store pick. But if you can get one of the single barrels that comes in, I believe at 100 proof for about 45 bucks, that thing is nice too. And I think that thing can kind of go into the presentation category because the bottle shape, I do like the bottle shape. I like the way that the cork is shaped. Everything about it, even the front label, even the gold Four Roses front label. Four Roses puts together a heck of a bottle, man. So if they like a high rye, little bit of cherry in their bourbon, I think you probably will get them one of the best bottles that they can absolutely have on their shelves. This next bottle I put on here strictly because of presentation. This is Calumet 16, and I can't necessarily say I recommend the 15. I thought the 15 was good, not great. The 16, however, comes in at 106 proof. It's going to run you anywhere between 140, 150. And I know that is a lot for that proof. But like I said, when you're buying a present for someone, I don't think it's always about getting the best bang for your buck. Sometimes you just want to let them know that you spent a little extra on them. I think this is one of those bottles that they will get and be very happy with. And at 106 proof, it is not going to come in too hot. It has a lot of cherry notes, a lot of vanilla notes. It is very easy to drink at 106 proof. I do not think you can go wrong. And the fact that it is a 16-year-old product, come on, man. I'd say go ahead, pull the trigger, spend the extra dough if you can, and get that father one of these bottles. Now, the next bottles that I'm going to get into, they are not by distillery. These are just ryes. I figured I'd throw a couple ryes on here for the fathers out there that love ryes and are heavy rye drinkers. This next bottle, to me, is always a solid bottle. It is Pikesville Rye, a little higher in proof. on here for affordability, availability, and the fact that it has 110 proof. If you know that that father is a high proof drinker, they love rye, this thing right here, hands down one of the best. Now I'm going to do a rye video sometime in the future to figure out which is the best rye that I have on my bar, but this is hands down one of the best. Comes in at 60 bucks, so that father's going to know you spent a little extra on him this year. And hey man, like I said, it's one of the best out there. It can't be beat. It does drink a little hot sometimes. Next up, this is an MGP product, comes in at 112.6 proof. This is Rossville Union. Very good flavors, high proof. It does not drink as hot as the Pikesville, and sometimes I can pick up a little grassiness in this bottle. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. But the proof and the flavors are there. Availability is kind of so-so, so it's not on the list as far as availability. It's on the list more so for price and the fact of presentation, man. I think it's a very beautiful bottle. It's got Rossville raised up on the side. The front label looks great. I think the bourbon, the rye drinker dad that you know that you're buying for will know that you spent a little extra on him, because both of these bottles typically go for around 55, 60, maybe 65 bucks. Last bottle on the list, another bottle out of Wild Turkey, man. I don't know if this is affordable everywhere. It's actually on the Virginia ABC allocated list. I see it all the time in Maryland. I'm not sure why it's on the Virginia ABC allocated list, but that's where it is. This thing comes in at 112.2 proof. Availability is not there. Affordability is really not there. Presentation isn't even there, but the proof is there. It looks just like the regular Wild Turkey Rare Breed. So this is the Rare Breed rye. Now, the 101 rye would have been on the list. It is a good bottle. I do like it. I'm not going to say that I am necessarily crazy about it, but that is a bottle that, hey, you know what? Put it on the list. It comes in at 23 bucks. No, sometimes like 25 to 27 bucks in my market at least. And it did offer some good flavors. I'm not going to say I was crazy about it, but like I said before, sometimes if your pockets aren't that deep and you need to just pick up a bottle for dad just to say, hey dad, I really appreciate all the things you did to me and this is what I can afford, I'm pretty sure they'll love it. So with that being said, let the whiskey flow. Never run out unless you're headed to a drop. Till next time.